Hi, everybody. Reach for the stars, all 5 of them. And then this is where the theme song goes. Sorry I didn't do the intro. It's been a week. But now that I didn't do an intro, I have to wait out the theme song part. The reason I do this is because I want it to be exactly 1 minute when I start talking, so I can just mentally subtract 1 minute when I do this. Anyway, we're in my car, packing up. Things aren't going well. Life's real rough. I don't know what I'm gonna do. You're listening to Fix My Carcast, hosted by Bear Claw Billy, and this is episode 133. Comedian and musician Keith Hebert is a bit unfocused, but has an inviting energy. But first, housekeeping. This is the show where you pick what I say. Could you hear that knock? Sorry. This is the show where you pick what I say and how I say it. Pick a topic or prompt by donating to the GoFundMe, and vote on the gimmick by joining my Patreon for just $1 a month. Join at the $5 or higher level and also get bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes footage. Links are in the description. Also down there, merch. Get yourself some merch. I'd rate it 5 stars. It's a review show. Everything's just got to be 5 stars. No new donors this week. The total raise for paying off my car repair debt is now holding at $2,312. Also, when we get to $3,000, it unlocks an automatic show gimmick, which is I will record an episode at sea. I lost my place in the script. Fun fact, did you know that this whole podcast disappears when we hit $10,000? It might start off weak, but it nails the ending. Hey, do you like the theme song? No? Well, if you make a donation of $50 or more, in addition to picking an episode topic, you get to change one thing about the theme song forever. Unless somebody else changes it back. Want me to openly pander to Pitchfork reviewers? I'll do it. $50. I've never gone on Pitchfork, so I don't actually know how to pander to them, or even what it is, or what reality is. Also, if you would like to own the painting I made in episode 118, I'll be giving it away to the next person who donates $100 or more. That's right. Own a piece of Fix My Carcast history while you still can. I'm in my car currently. The painting is not in the car, but it will be eventually because I gotta move it. No new patrons this week. Bummer. Now it's time for a topic suggestion. I'll suggest topics I think I could easily talk about for a whole episode, though admittedly I think the show is more fun when it's something I'm completely clueless about. So, something I could talk about is a specific Wikipedia page. That's right. Whenever there's no sponsor, I talk about a random Wikipedia page. But there's nothing stopping you from paying me to look at a particularly fascinating Wikipedia page hand-selected by you. Want to know more? Donate today. Checking in on the best city in the world based on which city listened to the last episode the most. And we've got a tie between Boston, Massachusetts and Gloucester, Massachusetts. Ties are broken by whichever city listened to the most episodes. And our big winner is Boston, Massachusetts. Congratulations, Boston, Massachusetts. Let it be known that your 4.4 stars on Yelp are the best in the world for 7 days. True story. You can rank cities on Yelp. I didn't know that. Last episode, I talked about Season 3, Episode 8 of the professional wrestling docuseries Dark Side of the Ring, entitled The Plane Ride from Hell, while doing it like a locker room speech. You can see video of all the raw footage, plus a little extra, over on Patreon. Also, head over to Patreon for a bonus episode where I talk about crappy sunscreen. Okay. Among other things, but had a bout with some crappy sunscreen. Okay, let's talk next week's gimmick poll. These are your choices for next week's episode gimmick. They are: make and eat a sandwich, do it like a royal decree, speak in gibberish, and our returning gimmick, record it on a swing set. Still haven't gotten that one. That one's returned a few times. Let's recap. Number 1, make and eat a sandwich. Pretty standard. Number 2, do it like a royal decree. You know, like a proclamation, a guy in a puffy hat letting all the common folk know what the king has declared. Number 3, speaking gibberish. That is with a capital G, specifically the language gibberish, kind of like Pig Latin, and there is a Pig Latin episode. So hello becomes Hudagel Litigo. So I will do that for a whole episode. Hooey. And our returning gimmick number 4, recorded on a swing set. Pretty simple. I will get on a swing set and record the episode. Remember that any gimmick that gets just a single vote is eligible for a second chance in 6 weeks. Be sure to vote over on Patreon. The poll closes Thursday, July 25th at noon Eastern America time. All right. Time for today's gimmick, which is read listener reviews aloud. Of course, gimmicks don't start until housekeeping is out of the way, in case any of them prevent me from sharing vital information. But now we are entering the gimmick zone. From this point on, gimmicks are active and everything is improvised. There's no sponsored topic for today's episode, so I'll take inspiration from a randomized Wikipedia page, which is... And yes, I have printed out randomized Wikipedia pages, and now I'm going to shuffle it up. I'm going to try to pull one from the middle. You know what? Actually, let's just really give it a good old shuff. And today's episode is about Bohemian Paradise. Well, that's fun. I have no idea what this is. Let me throw all the other randomized Wikipedia pages aside. All right, today's episode is about Bohemian Paradise. Now, if you've only been listening to sponsored episodes for a while, and this is your first random Wikipedia page episode, I do want to let you know this is often more times a springboard for conversation and improv. I'm not just going to read you the Wikipedia page, but I do need to read the Wikipedia page to at least get an idea of what Bohemian Paradise is. Check this out. It's a protected landscape area and a region in Bohemia in the Czech Republic, declared in 1955 as the first nature reserve in that country. At first, it was 95 square kilometers. Today, it is almost 182 kilometers. This area is in the north of Bohemia and northeastward from the capital city, Prague. Okay, so I guess let's see what that drums up in me. What does that inspire in me? First of all, that inspires in me to tell you about another episode where I got a random Wikipedia page, and I got it wrong. Yeah, and I really apologize to Vlad II Yaroslavich. I don't know if this ever came up in the regular show. It might have come up in the bonus episode. I got his nationality wrong. He's not a Russian prince. I don't even remember what on the page made me think Russia. I think I just saw the word Russia. I think it might have said like neighboring Russia town or something, and I was just skimming it really fast, and I was like, he's a Russian prince. But if I recall correctly, now watch me be wrong about this again. Apparently this is just a historical figure that I can't remember where he's from. I think he actually was from Prague or the Czech Republic. I can't be sure. This is kind of jogging some memories. Like, I feel like I've done another one about the Czech Republic. This show has gotten so large, that I can't remember anything I've done on it. So, but yeah, let's see. The natural environment, of Bohemian Paradise, the Prakov rock formations, these are gorgeous. And I'm saying that looking at tiny little thumbnails of them. You should check this out, like the Hrubaskala Chateau, now a hotel, Bohemian Paradise Square. If you're watching the video version, there's some crappy little thumbnails, but these all look gorgeous. Yeah, this honestly reminds me of like the Grand Canyon. These are some beautiful rock formations, and maybe that's where I can take the inspiration to. I have always wanted to see the Grand Canyon. I'm a bit of an anxious person, though, and traveling makes me kind of nervous. It's the thing where, like, okay, we're really going on a tangent now. If you like the episodes where I'm just free-forming, strap in. Because also, there's no gimmick holding me back, other than these reviews I have to read at some point, which I have printed off, and I'm not going to read one yet, because I just have to read them aloud at some point. So make sure I don't forget. Stay with me. I feel like that's just my catchphrase because I can ramble and go in 19 different directions at once. So one of my favorite lines of dialogue of all time, and that's big when you're a movie person. One of my favorite lines of dialogue of all time is from the film Groundhog Day. If you haven't seen the film, a man is living the same day over and over and over again. Time keeps resetting every morning. And so he learns everything about everyone in the town. He has talked to every single person. He knows all their backstories. He's just a wealth of knowledge. And at one point, because the day resets every day, he has to explain this anew every single day. So, like, even if he sits all his friends down and is like, guys, I'm in this crazy time loop, there's nothing I can do about it, the next morning he has to tell them all over again. And so he's talking to Rita, his producer. He's a weatherman. And he's basically explaining once again, yep, I wake up every day. I know all of you inside and out. And when she's like, prove it, one of the things he says to her, I don't have the whole speech memorized, but my favorite line from it is she's like, if you know so much about me, then tell me all about me. And, you know, he talks about like career goals and this and that and the other thing. But the most interesting line to me is when he says, you like boats, but not the ocean. And I love that line because not only is it like, what a very, but like, that is such a great line to prove that you really know a person inside and out. Because, you know, tangentially you meet a person and they're like, I like science fiction. So you might assume, oh, they like Star Trek. And it's like, no, actually not a big fan. I'm more into, I don't know, H.G. Wells, whatever. So like, I love that line. I like boats, but not the ocean. Now, how does this relate to, oh shoot, I threw Bohemian Paradise into the same pile as all the other random Wikipedias, which I really do need to fold up and not look at because they could be future episodes. But anyway, how does this relate to Bohemian Paradise? Well, what I love about the you like boats, but not the ocean line, is it gets to something kind of fundamental at the nature of humans, that we have very specific tastes. Sometimes so specific we don't even like everything involved in those tastes. And I just love that line, you love boats but not the ocean, because there are lots of things in the world that are great, but they have downsides to them. And how this relates to Bohemian Paradise is I absolutely love mountains and rock formations. I hate hiking. So that's where I'm going with all this. And by the way, side note, one of my favorite things is asking people, what is your I like boats but not the ocean? So brief side note, think about that for yourself. Maybe come up with your own. Maybe sponsor an episode all about boats but not the ocean. Because yeah, I and there's a lot of iconic things about the movie Groundhog Day, but I never hear anybody mention the boats but not the ocean thing. Because yeah, I just think it's so great. So mine is, I love rock formations, but not hiking. Hiking is the worst. Whenever someone invites me on a hike, I'm like, cool, can a helicopter just drop me at the summit? Now, I totally get how you can do like the poetic, you know, you can take it in a very like human direction and be like, well, the hiking is the cost to see the fancy rock formation. And I don't want to sound lazy and just be like, well, I can just look at a picture. I can just watch a documentary about rock formations. But truly, I think rock formations are beautiful and gorgeous. And one thing I love about this show is whenever a random Wikipedia episode points me at something I would actually enjoy, because I would love to see these rocks in person. They look phenomenal. Yeah, and it says here, since 1933, the area has 60 million year old rock formations that have been protected. Some scenes for major television and film productions were filmed here. Footnote 678, and now I want to jump over and be like, what did they film there? Carnival Row, films and fairy tales, and something that's not in English, so I don't know what it's about. But that's cool. The most famous rock formation, specifically in film and television that I know, is the Vasquez rocks, which have been featured in Star Trek and parodies of Star Trek. And anytime you need an alien planet or a post-apocalyptic dystopia, Vasquez rocks, baby. Give it a Google. You maybe don't even need to be that hardcore of a film or television fan to see the Vasquez rocks and go, oh yeah, those rocks. Again, don't want to go on too much of a tangent. But the reason the Vasquez rocks get used so much is because they're within the 30-mile zone of Hollywood. I believe if you go outside of that zone, it counts as travel expenses. You have to pay the cast and crew more, etc., etc. So that's how the Vasquez rocks ended up being like every alien planet for every TV show in existence, just because they're cool as hell and they're within 30 miles of Hollywood. So I've just always thought that was really, really neat. Anyway, this is really inspiring so much here for me to talk about. Let's see. Kozakov, the highest hill in the area. There's a castle in Bohemian Paradise, consisting of two 14th century ruins on the summits of two basalt volcanic plugs. Volcanoes also really cool. That's another bucket list, is like if I could see a volcano while it's erupting. But that's really dangerous. I don't think volcano tourism is a thing. And frankly, if it's not, it should never be, right? Because volcanoes, super dangerous. It makes the end of Revenge of the Sith really hard to watch, because they're having a lightsaber fight right on top of running lava. You all know that that's hot, right? That's basically like standing above a fire. Anyway, let's see. So there's other castles: Trotsky, Kost, K-O-S-T. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Sikrov, Hruby Rohozek, Hrubaskala, and Humprecht. You're not listening to this show for maturity, are you? Humprecht. Boy, we'd all love to be humprecht, wouldn't we? Hey, I guess I got to read you some reviews. So this excellent podcast that you're listening to right now has some reviews. So I guess I'll just interject these at random. Let's take a break from the show you're listening to tell you what people think of the show you're listening to. So iTunes reviews. These are my iTunes reviews. There is one. That said, the title is Great Show, 5-star rating, and the review says, this person sounds really stressed. Give them money so they don't have to do this anymore. Yeah. That was posted 1 year ago, and sadly, it's still true. Real rough time. Gotta move again. My job might be ending. More on that next week. Yeah, this person does sound really stressed. Please give them money so they don't have to do this anymore. I actually enjoy making the movie, I enjoy making this podcast, but I would enjoy much more not being horribly in debt. Anyway, there's one of the ratings. Back to Bohemian Paradise, which I'm curious, almost none of these names are in English, so I wonder what Bohemian Paradise is in Czech. Sorry, I'm dumb about the world. I don't know what they speak in Czech Republic. Probably Czech Republican. Yeah. And then that's it. It's a pretty short article. Sandstone rock. Ooh! Okay, this is interesting. One of the most recognizable elements of Bohemian Paradise is the sandstone rock, which many of the surrounding towns are constructed of. Now that's really interesting. You got a funky looking kind of rock, so why not make the buildings out of it? So that's cool. Well, let me tell you what. If one day I am an eccentric millionaire, I would love to take a trip here. You heard it here first, folks. The first billionaire that ends this show and says, you're really funny, why don't you go places like Conan Oh, yeah, that niche is already filled. Yeah, I guess we don't need a somewhat funny person to travel the world. Oh well. Want to hear another review of the show? Great. Spotify reviews. Ready? Here are some reviews from Spotify. None. I have no reviews on Spotify. Now, I have ratings. And I meant to point this out about iTunes, too. I have 4 ratings on iTunes. Thank you to anyone who rated my show on iTunes. And all of them are 5 stars. So thanks for your support, those 4 people. And I guess this episode really does serve as, hey, please review this show. Every podcast I listen to, they're like, hey, don't forget to leave us a review, rate us on iTunes. It really helps the show. I have no evidence that it really helps the show. I don't know what it does for the show other than gives me an ego. But yeah, if you want to rate the show, do it. And I want you to be brutally honest about it. But yeah, 4 ratings, all 5 stars on iTunes, 4 ratings, all 5 stars on Spotify. So you listening right now, you, the person listening right now, write me a review. And I know you'll have to do it out of the goodness of your heart and not because you want it read live on the show, because I'm not going to do this gimmick again. All gimmicks are one take. Oh, wait, have I repeated a gimmick? Have I repeated a gimmick? Have I repeated a gimmick? I feel like I have at some point. Maybe modified slightly. I don't know if I have. I probably have done similar gimmicks, but not the same gimmick. Anyway, will not read reviews live on the show, so that you can write whatever you want there now and know that it will never appear in the show. That's all I have from iTunes and Spotify. I have one more review, and I'm going to save it for the end. It's not going to be the as always. It's actually kind of long, but okay. Let's see what else. There's a hotel and a spa in the Bohemian Paradise. Also a place where precious stones are found. Kind of like this show. This show is a rare gem. Just kidding. There's probably 1,000 shows exactly like this. The Chris Gethard show, for one. Anyway, don't let that hang over your head, Bear Claw Billy. Folk architecture, which means architecture that's made by the poors. I don't know. What is folk? What is folk art? I'm sure there's a more. This is a folk podcast because it's made by folk. Yeah, because I think it was Louis Armstrong who said all music is folk music. And you know, I ain't never heard a horse sing a song. That would be a great episode, though, if we had a horse sing a song. Alas, I ain't got that. Come to the show. You don't come to the show for the singing horses. You know what? I could make that a gimmick next week if you want. Tell you what, get in the comments, write in your review. I gotta stop saying get in the comments. I try really hard not to take other people's catchphrases. That is a Brennan Lee Mulligan that I have to stop stealing. Tell me what you want. What you really, really want. Damn it, that's the Spice Girls. Anyway, I like these free-form ones where I can just, pour some brain sludge into you. Yum, 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 yum. I hope it sustains you, and I hope you're alive for a really long time. I hope I'm alive until the next episode. Things are really rough. Please give me just all the money if you have money to give. But if you don't, well, you're probably an American. All right, cool. Well, I said I would read one more review, and I'm going to do that because I think I have really exhausted all the information that I have here on Bohemian Paradise. Bohemia is like an actual place, and I always forget that. I always think of it as like the Bohemian lifestyle, Bohemian art, Bohemian theater, etc., etc. So yeah, it's nice to be reminded that like Bohemia is an actual place. All right, well, I think the last thing I will note, if you're watching the video version, the crest of Bohemian Paradise weirdly looks like the crest on my shirt a little bit. I'm wearing a shirt of the Winchester Tavern, if you're watching the video version, that frequently is mistaken for a Harry Potter house, whichever one Harry's in. I don't really know much about Harry Potter because I sensed really early on that woman would wish for me to be dead. But hey, let's not talk about that. let's talk about what people think of my show. So, before I ever proposed this gimmick, I had someone who found me on Threads and said, hey, now that I know that your show isn't a car repair show, which is what a lot of people think, let me tell you what, folks, not that any planning went into this show ever at any stage, but when I first came up with the title, I was thinking like, I think it's, I want to say it's Eric Idle from Monty Python, who said that like titles don't matter. Like they genuinely don't. Nothing is made or broken by a bad title. So they were like, yeah, we're going to call it Monty Python's Flying Circus. And then eventually people will see the humor and say, oh, that's the humor of Monty Python's Flying Circus, AKA anything can be just named Name of Show. And then people will go, oh my gosh, have you seen Name of Show? So I like that philosophy, but I now have actual proof that at least one human being in the world was not listening to my show because it looks like it's a car repair podcast, which it is not. I don't know shit about dick about cars, like the actual vehicles. I know plenty about the Cars universe, like the fact that they have an aircraft carrier named after a real American president. So in the Cars universe, does that mean that that aircraft carrier was president? I forget which president it was. I want to say Eisenhower. I cannot remember, though. Anyway, here's one final review for this Not a Car Repair Podcast. Because you know what? If Pistol Shrimps Radio can be called that and people can still find it and enjoy it, well, it probably helps that famous people are involved in some capacity. Oops. I'm always doing this. I always forget get famous first. That's my mistake. All right. This comes to us from Winterteeth4, who seems like a pretty okay person and likes a lot of my threads. Hey there. Sorry it took me so long to listen. So here's my honest feedback, ellipses. It was funny. I laughed a couple of times, which is hard to get me to do. The premise is ambitious, and the length is just right for a single-person podcast. Aww. The only real problem, I had was that the gimmick got in the way of the story. I wanted to hear more about the plane ride from hell, but you kept having to digress to keep the gimmick alive. Still, one can tell you are very listenable and funny. Thank you, Winterteeth4. Thank you. That was really nice to hear. Because I don't get a lot of direct feedback about the show. Mostly, I just get, oh yeah, I saw you did one about this. I like that one. So I really like that feedback. And I agree with you. Because here's the thing, Winterteeth4. You are jumping into a show that started as me walking to work because I didn't have a car. And I was like, well, I need something to do on the walk. And most people would listen to other podcasts, but not me. I would try to raise money while I walk to fix said car that was being repaired. And why did I do that, Winterteeth4? Well, let me tell you, Winterteeth4. You should go back and listen to the very first episode, and you'll get an idea of how slapped together this show is. In the lockdown, I couldn't make rent, and I never had any plan to do this, but I had not seen Game of Thrones, mostly because it looked like dog shit to me from the very beginning, and so I just never got into it, and then everybody was like, come on, get on board, check it out, and then it failed spectacularly to land the ending, and then one night I was just lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and suddenly I thought, oh my God, what if I offer to watch all of Game of Thrones in a week to make rent? And the worst part is, it worked. So I got cocky. Then I was like, cool, I can just do nonsense for money and it'll work every time. Well, folks, from where I'm sitting, it seems like maybe that was a fluke, but that's okay. That's okay. I have a show that I like doing. I have a listener in Germany. So I'm doing okay. Whatever delicious tapioca rides around in my bone bowl up here. Some people like to snack on it. A lot of them in Massachusetts, a lot of them in Maine, and one in Germany. As always, that's how I end. Oops, can't say that phrase. It is time to end, though. But I'm very grateful to all my listeners. Thank you for your reviews. I would love some more. Would love to know how you got into the show. Would love to know your favorite episodes. Would love your recommendations. Because, hey, I just like making it. Admittedly, though, I would like some money, too. That's kind of what I need right here. Because next stop is, I don't know, debt relief program or declaring bankruptcy. As always, make a stupid podcast before you declare bankruptcy. Wipe out. Things aren't going great, folks. But I don't want you to think about it. But like, if you got anything to spare, now's the time. I like letting people know when I'm doing well, but like when I'm not doing well, I need some help, folks. Sorry to have to get so real about it. Maybe see me next week. That's Seth Meyers' catchphrase.